भगवते वा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नार नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भक्तेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna. Today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Shloka number 31 to 33. स राजपुत्र ववृद्धे
स राजपुत्रः ववृद्धे
आशु शुक्ल इव उडुपः
आशु शुक्ल इव ऊडुपः
आपूर्यमाण पितृभिः
आपूर्यमाणः पुत्रुभिः
काष्ठिभिः इव स अन्वहम्
काष्ठिभिः इव सह अन्वहम्
यक्षमाण अश्वमेधेन
यक्ष्यमाणः अश्वमेधेन
ज्ञातिद्रोहो जिहासया
ज्ञातिद्रोह जिहासया
राजा लब्धधनः दद्यौ
राजा लब्धधनः दद्यौ
न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः
न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः
तत् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्ये
तत् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्य
भ्रातर अच्युच्योतिताः
भ्रातरः अच्युतचोदिताः
धनं प्रहीणम् आजहुः
धनं प्रहीणम् आजुहुः
उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिशः
उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिशः
स राजपुत्र ववृद्धे
स राजपुत्रः ववृद्धे
आशु शुक्ल इव उडुपः
आशु शुक्ल इव उडुपः
आपूर्यमाण पितृभिः
आपूर्यमाणः पितृभिः
काष्ठाभिः इव सह अन्वहम्
काष्ठाभिः इव सह अन्वहम्
यक्षमाण अश्वमेधेन
यक्ष्यमाणः अश्वमेधेन
ज्ञातिद्रोहो जिहासया
ज्ञातिद्रोह जिहासया
राजा लब्धधना दद्यौ
राजा लब्धधनौ रद्यौ
न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः
न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः
तत् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्य
तत् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्य
भ्रातर अच्युच्चोदिताः
भ्रातरः अच्युतचोदिताः
धनं प्रहीणम् आजभ्रुः
धनं प्रहीणम् आजुहुः
उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिशः
उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिशः
सह राजपुत्र ववृद्धे आशु शुक्लैव उडुप आपूर्यमाण पितृभिः काष्ठाभिः इव सह अन्वहम् यक्षमाण अश्वमेधेन ज्ञातिद्रोह जिहासया राजा लब्धधन दद्यौ न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः तत् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्ये भ्रातर अच्युच्चोदिताः धनं प्रहीणम् आजभ्रुः उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिश
सह राजपुत्रः ववृद्धे आशु शुक्ल इव उडुपः आपूर्यमाणः पितृभिः काष्ठाभिः इव सह अन्वहम् यक्ष्यमाणः अश्वमेधेन द्याति द्रोह जिहासया राजा लब्धधनौ दध्यौ न अन्यत्र करदण्डयोः तद् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्य भ्रातरः अच्युतचोदिताः धनं प्रहीणम् आजुह्रुः उदीच्यां दिशि भूरिशः
पूनम माताजी आशीष प्रभु जी
स राजपुत्रो ववृद्धे आशु शुक्ल इव दुपः आपूर्यमाणः पितृभिः काष्ठाभिः इव स अनाहम् यक्ष्यमाणो स्वमेधेन ज्ञातिद्रोह जिहासया राजा लब्ध धनो दध्यौ मन्यत्र न अन्यत्र करादण्डयः तद् अभिप्रेतम् आलक्ष्य भ्रातारो अच्युतचोदितः धनं प्रहीणम् अजरूर उदिच्यं दिशि भूरिशः हरे कृष्ण।
कृपामयी सीता माता जी।
माताजी। सा राजा पुत्र भवता आसु शुक्ले इव उडुपः अप्रूयं मनः प्रीतिभि कस्ताभि इव सा अन्बहं यक्षामन अश्वमेध ज्ञादिद्रोह जिहस्य राजा लब्धा धन दद्यु न अन्त्यत्र करो धन्योः तद् अभिपेत्रम् अलक्ष्य पात्रो अच्युत चोडितः धनं प्रहितं प्रहीनम् अजाहु उदीच्यां दिशि पुरुषिः. Thank you.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As the moon in its waxing fortnight develops day after day, so the royal prince Parīkṣit very soon developed luxuriantly under the care and full facilities of his guardian grandfathers. Just at this time, King Yudhiṣṭhira was considering performing a horse sacrifice to get freed from sins incurred from fighting with kinsmen, but he became anxious to get some wealth for their where no surplus funds outside of fines and tax collection. Understanding the hearty wishes of the king, his brothers, as advised by the infallible Lord Kṛṣṇa, collected sufficient riches from the north left by King Marutta. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As the Brahmanas and Vipras had a right to be subsidized by the state executive had the right to collect taxes and fines from the citizen. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the state treasury was exhausted, and therefore there was no surplus fund except the fund from tax collection and fines. Such funds were sufficient only for the state budget, and having no excess fund, the king was anxious to get more wealth in some other way in order to perform the horse sacrifice. Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira wanted to perform this sacrifice under the instruction of Bhishma Deva. Maharaj Marutta, one of the great emperors of the world. He reigned over the world long before the reign of Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira. He was the son of Maharaj Parīkṣit and was a great devotee of the sun god known as Yamraj. His brother Samvart was a rival priest of the great Brihaspati, the learned priest of the demigods. He conducted one sacrifice called saṅkīrtana-yajña, by which the Lord was so satisfied that he was pleased to hand over to him the charge of a mountain peak of gold. This peak of gold is somewhere in the Himalaya mountains, and modern adventurers may try to find it there. He was so powerful an emperor that at the day's end of sacrifice, the demigods from the other planets like Indra, Chandra, and Brihaspati used to visit his palace, and because he had the gold peak at his disposal, he had sufficient gold in his possession. The canopy of the sacrificial altar was completely made of gold. In his daily performances of the sacrificial ceremonies, some of the inhabitants of the Vayuloka, airy planet, were invited to expedite the cooking work of the ceremony, and the assembly of the demigods in the ceremony was led by Vishwadeva. By his constant pious work, he was able to drive out all kinds of diseases from the jurisdiction of his kingdom. All the inhabitants of higher planets like Devloka and Pitruloka were pleased with him for his great sacrificial ceremonies. Every day he used to give in charity to the learned Brahmanas such things as bedding, seats, conveyances, and sufficient quantities of gold. Because of munificent charities and performances of innumerable sacrifices, the king of heaven, Indradeva, was very satisfied with him and always wished for his welfare due to his pious activities. He remained a young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1,000 years, surrounded by his satisfied subject, minister, legitimate wife, sons, and brothers. Even Lord Kṛṣṇa praised his spirit of pious activity. He handed over his only daughter to Maharshi Angira, and by his good blessings, he was elevated to the kingdom of heaven. First of all, he wanted to offer the priesthood of his sacrifices to Lord Brihaspati, but the demigod refused to accept the post because of the king's being a human being, a man of this earth. He was very sorry for this, but on the advice of Narad Muni, he appointed some worth to the post, and he was successful in his mission. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age, all kinds of sacrifice are forbidden because there is no learned priest among the so-called Brahmanas who go by the false notion of becoming sons of Brahmanas without Brahminical qualification. In this age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended, saṅkīrtana-yajña, as inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा। Today we try to understand shloka number 31 to 33 of Canto 1st, chapter 12. In this shlokas, they describe about the Marut king. Who is Marut king and how he live in his kingdom. That describe Prabhuji will tell us in detail. Hare Krishna. No, orally.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So finally the Jataka ceremony was performed, and the learned Brahmanas, having predicted everything about Parīkṣit Maharaj, they were sufficiently rewarded. They have left. And now Parīkṣit Maharaj is growing. And he's coming completely under the care and full facilities of his guardians. And who are the guardians? His own grandfathers. So under their care, he is slowly developing luxuriantly. Now, in order to explain how it has gone, Sud Goswami ji here is explaining it that just like a moon grows slowly every day in the waxing phase, similarly, Parīkṣit Maharaj was growing slowly. Now, here, two facts are very, very important. Like, apurya manah. Now, apurya manah means that he had all the luxuries at his disposal, but still he was satisfied, because this word apurya manah also means satisfaction. Now here, when Srila Prabhupada has done the translation, he has used a word as luxuriantly. But we can say that he also grew under the care, that is Pitribhihi, of the guardians in a satisfactory manner. And what is it compared to? Shukle eva udupaha. Shukle, that is Shukla Paksha, the vexing moon, eva like, and udupaha, the moon. And thus, there was Kashtabhi, plenary developments, day after day. So, it shows that the grandfathers were ensuring that he was given all the appropriate knowledge. Like we were talking day before yesterday, about the importance of how a child should be introduced to Krishna consciousness at the earliest age. So it is the responsibility of the guardian of the child that he be trained as per his dharma, varna, but at the same time, he be developed in such a way that he becomes Krishna Das and not Maya Das. And that is why Rajaputra Vavradhe, the royal prince growing up, was like Kashtabhihi, plenary development. Because they were guiding him completely under Krishna's verse. Now we all saw that King Yudhiṣṭhira, after the Kurukshetra war, was very unhappy. He had thought that all the destruction which has happened in the war, the loss of so many lives, was only for his selfishness, so that he could be made the king and the emperor. So he had approached King Bhishmadev, and Bhishmadev had appropriately guided him towards what is the appropriate duty of a king. And at that time, it also became clear that a king should also ensure that he is giving appropriate guidance to the appropriate support to the livelihood of the Brahmanas and the Vipras. So basically, the Sanatan Dharma, the Vaishnava Dharma that we talk about, it ensures that this highly intelligent class of people, the Brahmanas and the Vipras, who are going to be making everyone aware of what is their original nature, what is the original constitutional position, and how to get out of this distress and anxiety and the world which is full of suffering. They have to be maintained by the state. So Prabhupada states in the purport that in fact the Vipras and the Brahmanas had a right to be subsidized by the state. Now, if they are to be subsidized by the government needs to have funds. So according to the ancient scriptures and the Samhitas, the state executive, that is the king, he had the right to collect taxes and fines from the citizens. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was definitely doing it. But since he was guided by Bhishmadev, that he should also be periodically performing various yajña ceremonies, he had to do the Ashwamedh Yajña as well, because he had been involved into Jnati Droha. So he wanted to get free from the sins of Jnati Droha. Jnati Droha is fighting with kinsmen. And Jihashayaha, he wanted to get free. So he had to do the yajña. But his only source of income was karadandayah, that is taxes and fines. So this was not sufficient. It was insufficient. If a yajna has to be performed. So there was necessity to get some additional wealth. And he thought about it. Dadhyau labdhadanaha. Because there was no other means. Na anyatra. So, because of the battle of Kurukshetra, since so much of war had happened, so many people had died, they had to be treated, the relatives taken care of. The actual state treasury of Kurukshetra was near exhausted. And there was no surplus at all. Whatever was available was only sufficient for maintaining the budget of the state. And if there was no funds available, then it was very difficult to perform the Ashwamedh Yajna. Ashwamedh Yajna is the horse sacrifice. Because the moment we talk about Yajna, if you remember the lecture which we had taken a couple of months ago, in which the importance of Yajna and how to perform Yajnas was given, the Yajna ceremony had to be done by the appropriate priests only, Brahmanas only. And each one of them, including the head priest, they had to be sufficiently rewarded for their to the level of their satisfaction. So it means that it needs a lot of wealth. And exactly this was something which was missing. And so Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj became anxious and he wanted to get some wealth. Now Krishna is the Paramatma. So he was understanding what is going on in the mind, in the heart of his devotee Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. And since Krishna understood it, he is Achyutaha, he is infallible. So immediately he advised the brothers of the king that they should go to the north and collect whatever are the riches and the wealth which is available in the north. Now, when we say north, what are the riches left in the north? Actually, they are all the wealth which is left behind by King Marutta. He was one of the great emperors of the world. And he was the son of Maharaj Parīkṣit, as we saw in the purport which Mataji had laid. But he was a great devotee of Yamraj. And he had a brother, Samvarta, who also was a priest. He performed a yajna called as saṅkīrtana-yajña, because of which Lord was satisfied. And so he gave him the mountain peak of gold. Now just think. We get some gold, we are happy. We get some good quantity of gold, we are very happy. If we get big quantity of gold, we are happiest. And here, Marutta Maharaj had received the complete mountain. This is still existing in the Himalayan mountains. Prabhupada ji, in fact, used to tell his disciples that the adventurers can go there and still search for it. What is the benefit of going to the peak of Everest? They should go and try to find this, and then they can get whatever they want. So he used to use that wealth in the appropriate manner in performing various sacrifices, various yajnas. He was very powerful. So at the end of the sacrifices, demigods from other planets also used to come to his palace. And because he had so much of wealth, gold, he used to give everything. In fact, even the canopy of the sacrificial altar, the yajna with kunda, it was made of gold. And so, everyone, the demigods, used to be pleased. In fact, because of his power, even Vayulok inhabitants, residents, they used to go there so that the work can become very fast and quick. Such was the greatness of the king. So, because he was always into pious work, he was able to drive out all kinds of diseases from his kingdom. So there was no diseases left in his kingdom. Everyone was very happy. Everyone was pleased. Even the inhabitants of Devlok, Pitralok, they used to be pleased because of the yajñas which he used to do. And he used to give so much of charity to the brahmanas, including whatever who used to be their necessities. And because of these munificent charities, yajñas, Indradev was also satisfied. And he also wanted his welfare. And so, the benefit he got was he never became old. Now, we know there are 4 problems of a human life form or any body, any species in the material world: birth, old age, disease, and death. And here, because of the benediction by Indradev, he never became old. And he was always there, surrounded by his satisfied subjects. He had sons, he had brothers. Even Krishna was very happy because of his pious activities. He had only one daughter, and he gave it to Angira Rishi, and he came to the kingdom of heaven. Now, when he used to do the yajñas, he wanted Brihaspati to be the head priest. But since Brihaspati is the head priest of the demigods, and he himself is a demigod, he said, "You are a human, I cannot take it." So Narad Muni then advised that let Saṅkīrtana take that post. Now, this post of the head priest is very important, because if the mantras in the yajña are not appropriately chanted, if the vidhi is not appropriately done, then there cannot be any results. The success of any type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. And that is why yajñas are not recommended in Kali Yuga, because we do not get such qualified brahmanas and priests in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the only yajña which is permitted is the saṅkīrtana-yajña. Harer naam eva kevalam kalau nasti eva gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga, there is no learned priest among the brahmanas, because just because a child is born in a brahmana father, he gets the position of brahmana without brahmanical qualifications. That cannot happen. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated this saṅkīrtana-yajña, wherein we just have to chant openly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, which brings about the purification of the heart, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, and makes us qualified enough to get out of this repeated cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death, which is the best benediction, best success of any yajña. So let us take to this very seriously. Let us surrender to Krishna, follow his instructions, go ahead with a lot of book distribution. Please, Guru Maharaj, and hope to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.